All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to the stream. Just want to welcome music producers and sound designers to the stream. And today we're going to be diving back into Reaktor, looking at how to design Hans Zimmer style sounds in Reaktor, using sound design to design those sounds. So, have you ever wondered how Hans Zimmer would sound like as a synth patch? Today, we're going to be building a sonic portrait of the maestro himself, and this is all going to be live in Reaktor. We're going to create something bigger, something with bigger cinematic energy, and let's patch it in. So, to start off, we're going to open up our version of Reaktor. I've already got Reaktor open as a plugin, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to start a new patch. So here I got a new patch, new plugin. I'm going to start off and I'm going to put in the first things I need. So Hans Zimmer sound is a massive sound. Just want to welcome music producers and sound designers to the stream. If this is your first time, we're designing sounds and we use modular synthesis to do it. So I'm just introducing you to how we're going to design Hans Zimmer's sound. So Hans Zimmer sound is really a massive sound, massive but emotional sound. And so we're going to be starting off slow with the detuned saw oscillator for that wide cinematic feel. And we'll route it to a state variable filter. And this will help us shape our tension over time. And then maybe we'll add in a gentle LFO so that we can modulate the filter cutoff and create a swelling, evolving movement. And let's start. So I'm going to start off with my note in. That's going to be for my first component. So then from there, I'm going to bring in a oscillator. We're going to use a saw like we just kind of talked about. We'll bring in an oscillator and we use a buzzy saw because we know that it's buzzy. You know, it has lots of peaks, or the technical term, can't remember the name, but lots of frequencies or band. The frequency band is really wide, so we get lots of harmonics. So this is a good sound to use, and I'm just going to bring in a spectrum so we can hopefully see what we're doing. Then the next thing I'm going to bring in is the LFO, and that's going to help us modulate the sound over time, and this will help us create that swelling sound that we often hear or associate with evolving movement. And sound design, it's not really just technical, it's also emotional. So when we're designing sounds, it's not just it's technically correct, but it has to feel right in terms of what the sound does. So Zimmer, or Hans Zimmer, doesn't just score action, he scores feeling. So we want to kind of recreate that and score feeling, not score action. So I'm going to keep building this synth out as we go along. And now we can introduce something else into this. Maybe we can introduce some subtle rhythmic movement using a synced LFO for some slow modulation. So I could do that. And let's patch this up. I'm just going to bring in an amp just so we can get a basic sound going. Okay, so let's hook that to... Okay, let's just test it out. Make sure we're getting some signal going through our oscillator. I'm going to reorganize the panel just a little bit so that everything makes sense and it's organized. And And why aren't we getting any sound? Oh, that's because our patch is off. So we are getting sound. I'm just going to add some modulation depth by adding an envelope to this. Okay, let's turn that down. So it's a very basic sound right now, a very basic saw. I'm going to visualize this. Oh, that was the same one again. So we can visualize that saw wave on our right side here. You can see that it's a saw wave. It's going up and down in triangle waves. So now that we have that in place, we're going to want to add something else to the sound. And I'm going to introduce some rhythmic motion using a synced LFO to add some slow modulation. So let's do that. Let's add in some slow modulation to this and really make it come alive. So turn on the modulation depth. That's our synced LFO. And then I'm going to add one more LFO. Okay, we created a synced LFO. I'm going to duplicate that. And we can call this our LFO2 or whatever other creative name you want to name it, just so that we can tell the difference between the first LFO we started with and the second LFO that we're using. So we're using a synced LFO to create slow modulation, as you can hear. Well, it's a little fast, so I'm going to slow it down. So there, that sounds pretty good. Next, I'm going to layer a second oscillator in here so that we can slightly detune it and create a warmer low end, like a cello or a French horn, like you'd often associate with a Hans Zimmer sound, like from Inception or something like that. So let's do that. Again, I'm going to rename this oscillator to. Going to speed this setup up just a little bit so that we can keep going. Going to bring in the mix. Oops. And then we can then join these two to the amp. So let's test out our connection. So we're not hearing anything because even though we're putting input in, that would be because we have not, we haven't turned up our volume. So that's our sync on our oscillator A. I brought in a second oscillator so that we can hear the difference. So I'm going to mute this one so you can hear it. And I'm going to slightly detune this oscillator now so that it creates a little bit more of a thicker tone. So it's going to be detuned about 30 cents. And there we go. We got some thicker sounding tones. Let's play a chord. I'm going to slow down the oscillations because I think it's a little bit too fast for me. So you can see a triangle wave pulsing up and down in amplitude. Gonna hit that reset. So I'm liking that more. So let's continue. Let's add a quantizer in here. Let's add a sequencer and we'll bring in our quantizer. We'll bring in a sequencer. Bring in our 8-step and our clock. Okay, so gonna move this over. And we'll make some new connections here so that we can keep our building going. So, sorry if you can't see the screen. It might be a little bit small, but I'll make it work so that we can actually continue the build. Let's get our pitch. And I need some gate connections. Okay. So we've transferred this over to a automatically playing patch, so that's great. As you can hear, we're playing this with our actual what's it called? 8-step sequencer. So we're using an 8-step sequencer to actually play our sound. So there you can see. Just gonna move the camera for a second. Yeah, and yeah, you can see that we've created that. Now let me play it again. Okay. So as you can see here, I'm using that 8-step sequencer, and I didn't add in the quantizer yet, but I'm using that 8-step sequencer to really create a rhythmic movement. So let's see if we can work in that quantizer. Okay, so now we've kind of dialed in our patch a little bit more, and now we've got a live loop playing. I'm going to tweak it some more to make it more, add some more emotion. So let's run this patch through a little bit of ambience, adding a little delay and soft reverb That'll give it some more epic Hollywood air or flair. And let's see how that sounds. So let's play the patch again. Thinking the delay. Even just one side. I'm liking that more with one coming out mono, but I'm gonna make it stereo. Dial in some delay, reverb to widen out the sound, but put it in a bigger space, put it in an atmosphere, like we're in space. There we go. Sounding more space-like. So we're gonna see if we can find, or actually, let's bring in a scale that more matches what Hans Zimmer would play. Let's bring in an A. Let's bring in a D. Let's bring in an F. Doing A minor. Gonna slow down that tempo a little bit more. Using my using external clock from Ableton, so I'm gonna bring that tempo down. So we're getting a more complex sound now. All right, so hopefully you learned something from this session, dialing in this patch. putting together these modules and really creating a sound that we can call something similar to in the style of Hans Zimmer. Feel free to recreate this patch on your own and make your own. You can write it through your own ambience, or you can write it through your own effects, and really make it something that you can be proud of, and make it sound like space. So, um, so from there, you can take it to where you want to take it. So that's pretty much it for this sonic portrait and painting emotion with modular. If you dig this and you think this is something you really want to dive back into, I teach modular and sound design like this every week. And check out the link in the bio for my course, and or follow me for more weekly sound portraits and sound design tips and sound design sessions, usually live streams nightly. And I will catch you in the next live stream. Peace out.